Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast, where trauma survivors become healthy thrivers. Each month, we'll feature a theme in the trauma recovery and empowerment field. To promote your recovery, healing, and learning how to build dreams, here's your host, Karen Robinson, transformational coach and therapist.
Are you a woman on a mission to uplift the lives of other women through your business? Do you have massive value to bring, and yet you still have difficulty gaining new clients? If so, join me, Katarina Rando, at my next free virtual workshop. I show women how to sell authentically to achieve sales bliss. Visit katarinarando.com/links to sign up for my next free workshop and gain many additional business building resources. Ding, ding, ding.
Hello, and welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. His name is Martin Pytela. He is a respected functional medicine expert and metabolic typing coach, whose mission is to restore vitality to you and the planet. With over 12,000 clients coached since 2011 and over 60,000 students enrolled in his Udemy courses, Martin has a wealth of knowledge to share on topics such as healing trauma, managing stress and anxiety, your emotions, spirituality, weight loss, metabolism, longevity, mindfulness, gut health, and overall health. That's a lot, Martin.
I've been living on this planet for a good while.
Yeah, I can see that. And really, 60,000 students, that's bragging rights right there.
That's Udemy for you, right? So you put up a course and then people start watching it. And of course, health, wellness, trauma. This is such a common experience to so many people. So what do you do?
Yes. And so the first question I usually have for my guests, because my guests are usually survivors themselves or they're healing experts. A lot of time they're both, not always, but a lot of time. So I want to ask you, is there a trauma in your life that you're willing to share with us today, without great detail, of course?
Yes and yes. Intergenerational. It starts with my mother surviving the concentration camp experience in World War II. So I was born into a family, mom survivor of the Holocaust, my dad survivor of the communist purges of the 1950s back in Eastern Europe, where I grew up. So right there, traumatized parents raising children. And then, of course, my own stuff happened. I grew up actually in a happy childhood, relatively speaking, but I created a medical trauma when I was 24. I went to a dentist and innocently, not understanding any difference, I chose the silver fillings. They didn't tell me that it was mercury silver amalgam filling. And so I ended up toxic as heck with mercury, which really wrecked me physically and actually emotionally too. Mercury has this wonderful tendency of make you really dark, suicidal kind of mindset. So I lived with that for some time, trying to get help from the mainstream. Orthopedic surgeon was no help. Chiropractor was maintaining me, but not making me better. Naturopath was pointing at things, but again, fixing nothing. So at the end, or at some point, I just decided that I had to fix me. So that's the broken hero overcoming the obstacle, right? My education is in computer science and business administration. So I'm a systems analyst. So at some point it was, come on, honey, analyze this. And in business consulting, you always ask, and what caused that? And measure it. And what caused that? And measure it. And what caused that? And measure it. That's not what they were doing. They were just fiddling at the symptom level, never asking, and what caused it? So once I dove in, it didn't take me too long to figure it out.
How did you figure it out? Did you have mercury testing done?
Yeah, I did a HTMA, hair trace mineral analysis. And there it was, staring me in the face, mercury.
Yeah.
Then I read about mercury. I was thinking, I didn't eat a lot of fish.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, that's right. It's in the fillings. And so then I had to find a way to get rid of it, which I found. Zeolite worked exceedingly well, zeolite and fulvic acid, and that helped me and dragged it out of my body. And then I repaired it with free-form amino acids. So my structure, I was a cripple, really cripple, crawling on all fours from my armchair to the toilet and back because I couldn't even walk.
It's so terrible.
Yeah.
I used to work on an inpatient psych unit for the military, And one of the things the doctors would often do is test for mercury or any other heavy metals that they could have been exposed to,
Right.
because it can make
And
you quite sick physically and mentally. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I was right there.
I'm sorry that you went through that. And so you shared some things physically you did for your healing journey, some supplements and vitamins and
Yeah.
medications. How did you heal your emotional or mental health?
I got into hypnotherapy. I got interested in it and I studied it. So I got myself certified as a clinical hypnotherapist. And so we were working on one another in the clinic. So I was working on getting the concepts in my head straightened out through hypnosis. That was messy. And so later I found it's called educational kinesiology, brain gym, new method kinesiology, all of that. So these days I would say that's something like emotion code or body talk or quantum healing, touch for health, tapping, EFT, emotional freedom technique. Those are all methods by which you're able to reach the subconscious without necessarily discussing what the content is, just seeing what the problem is, and then allowing it to release and reprogram. So unlike the analysis psychotherapy, the Freud and Jung style, where you're sitting on a couch and talking about stuff, instead we just go in and we touch the body at the site where this thing is stored, and then we make a statement. Like a statement would be something like, I allow this desperation to be released to wherever it came. And so this is a really complex tree of meridians and muscles and emotions associated with all of that. Are you familiar with these methods? Should I expound?
I am. It's actually good to expound because I don't know who in the audience may not know. We don't know what our audience knows and doesn't know. So
All
yeah,
right.
maybe expound on, let's see, tapping, I think we've talked a lot about on this show. Let me ask you this first. Is this stuff that you did only to heal yourself, or do you now have the expertise to teach it and help other people with it?
Yeah, it's something that I just refer out. I don't practice it
Right.
on
Okay.
others. I understand it well. I've done NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I've done hypnosis. I can do it. I'm trained in it. But I'm just finding that I'm so busy helping people on the detoxification and nutrition and stagnation that I'm just sending people out to others to deal with the trauma of their lives, to have it released elsewhere.
Right. It's better we focus on your expertise, but maybe say a few things about how that healing that you went through that was working on the subconscious, like why? How does that work? Are you able to say
Right.
that? Yeah.
It's a bit of an onion, right? Like the
Yeah.
physical body is affected by the thought body, which is affected by the emotion body, which is affected by the spiritual body. And so if it's in the spiritual, it's rarefied, it's subtle, most subtle of it all, but has the greatest impact long term. So the emotional body essentially is stored in the water. Nature's storage device is water, fluids, and each water molecule is actually polarized, plus and minus end. And water will form these latent crystals. And memories are stored in the physical body. It could be in my shoulder, it could be in my neck, whatever, anywhere. And the memories and the emotional concepts are stored there. So somebody may have experienced it by going to a massage and having a body part worked on, or not just massage, physiotherapy, any one thing, and stuff gets released. And next thing you know, you're crying or laughing or feeling lighter or feeling heavier or something. And that's just by being touched at a specific part of your body. The Chinese and then the Indian too, traditional medicines have figured out these maps of the body where, for example, a specific meridian will have some organs attached to it and specific emotions attached to it. Like fear will live with your kidneys and anger will live with your liver and on. There's a long list of, it's been mapped out. And so each one of these things, as they don't function, because each one of these meridians is also associated to a specific muscle, you can muscle test it. Like you can do the deltoid muscle, push down on that. That's attached to a specific meridian. You can find every meridian. We have 13 pairs of them. And all of that stores the gamut of it all. So I had to deal with my daddy issue, mommy issue, brother issue, schoolmate issue, first love issue, you name it. All of those
Say,
things stored traumatic things within me that were blocking natural, free expression of me responding rather than reacting. That's the main difference. Respond or react. If you react, you have no volitional choice. You're in your back brain and you're just being a little animal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what difference has it made for you in your life to have all these healing opportunities?
Forgiveness is a big deal. allowing myself to be wrong, to have sometimes done the wrong thing and regretting it. So allowing the past to be the past and not reflecting into the future. And then just functioning better, just allowing myself to do right, to make success, to not have fear of public speaking, to not have fear of death, to not have fear of this, that, and the other, whatever. Making too much money, too little money, being too rich, being too poor, being
Oh, I
too
know.
truthful, you name it. Every stupid thing is affected by what we have
Yeah.
stored in our emotional body.
Yeah, you said that really well, actually. Okay, so now moving on to your work, the first thing I want to ask you, because I don't know this, is have you published any books at this point? Do you plan to?
Well, it's out as an ebook, and yes, I have plans. I have recorded a lot of lectures, a lot of stories, so I have it in audio form. We just need to transcribe it and put it out. But essentially, I'm talking about the different ways where we break down. And the most practical ways, I would put it as toxicity, malnutrition, stagnation, and trauma. And the toxicity is stuff that we find in the environment and put them inside of us or have it around us, and it's blocking normal function. It's blocking the autonomic nervous system or the homeostatic system from expressing itself correctly or freely. And then malnutrition, that's nutrients that you should have but aren't getting. So we need to figure out, because the industrial age we live in is giving us lots of conveniences, but giving us a lot of trouble, because the toxins that are in our environment we're not designed for, and they're blocking function. And the food that we're being presented is grown in ways that's highly deficient and highly imbalanced, and it doesn't match our genetics, which is what I specialize in now with metabolic typing, where we are able to match your ancestral design with what you're getting and what you should be getting instead. So if your ancestors lived on the coast of Africa, they should not be fed a diet for northern Italy, as an example.
Makes sense. Yeah.
If your grandparents came from Norway, you're not going to do well on North African diet. It's just not going to help.
That's so interesting. It's fascinating, right? The more we learn, the more we find that we need to learn.
Oh gosh, yes. As the metaphor would be, as you're climbing up a mountain, it's a hard work and you're gaining elevation. And with the elevation, you're gaining perspective, because you're seeing farther and wider. And the higher you are, the more perspective you get, and the more you notice your personal insignificance in the world. Yeah.
So your favorite part of what you do, because you have lots of areas that you have some expertise in, but your favorite is the metabolic work. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, it's an important tool. It's just huge leverage. Once I tell you that when you X, you Y, as in that the biggest thing we discover are two things. One is the endocrine dominance, which drives how you gain weight or lose weight. So if I could tell you ahead of time what combinations on your plate will help you gain weight or lose weight, then you will not wonder why you're either heavier than you want to be or too skinny than you want to be. So that's one. The other is the internal pH. And with acidity, you drive toward the fight, flight, anxiety, anger side of things. And with over alkalinity, you drive into procrastination, despondence, emotionally depressed, just dark, unwilling, no drive. So the middle is very flexible and you have a lot of choices. The further you go away from the middle, you're either stuck in fight or flight or the rest and repair. Both extremes are causing problems. In fact, 75% of prescriptions that are filled in pharmacies deal with either anxiety or depression. So that is the big deal, because I can give you on a silver platter, if you want to call it that, the user's manual to your body, showing you that if you do this, then you're going to have such and such outcome.
And do you know, I haven't met a trauma survivor yet that isn't anxious or depressed or both.
You can be swinging back and forth. And so
between hyperarousal and hypoarousal.
Right. Yeah. And so it's the fats and proteins on one side and carbohydrates on the other side. And so if you're oxidizer dominant, fats will be fats will be calming and carbs will be stimulating. And if you're the other way, the autonomic, carbs will be calming and fats will be driving you toward anxiety. And so you have a choice. You can take your
that's when you know.
You can take your antidote, right? Oh, shoot, I am overly anxious. Okay. If you're the oxidizer, you need to push fats. If you're the autonomic, you need to push carbs. And most people just don't know.
They don't know. Yeah. And in your work, when you work with a trauma survivor, is there certain flags that you see that are different than other people, or not so much because they can flip-flop on both sides?
They just keep making choices that are destructive, despite having the information available.
Destructive.
Yeah. Yeah. Self-punishment.
Yeah. I like your word better, destructive. I call it harming the self, or
Yeah.
what's the other word I
Yeah.
use?
Playing with hand grenades inside of a crowded theater. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And so, yeah, the more trauma, the less easy they are to make a better choice. So we can stabilize them, forcing them to actually know, consciously face
Right.
the choices. Like,
Self-sabotage was the word I was looking for.
sure, yeah, that's exactly that. And so when I tell you, well, you're choosing to do this, are you willing to admit it? Right? The recognition of it. The first step to recovery is to
It's awareness.
aware. Yeah. You need to recognize that you are in trouble. Then you need to recognize that you need help. Then you need to recognize that you're willing to be helped. And then finally, it can be resolved. So many tools.
Many tools. Okay, so when you're working with someone and you finally give them that, their antidote is the word that you use. What differences are you seeing in your clients or patients after you work with them?
All right. So let's just say that somebody is experiencing too much anxiety in their life. And let's just say that they will be calmed by fats. Those will be the oxidizers. So if that person wakes up early in the morning, riddled with regrets about everything, the first thing they need to do is get up and eat something greasy.
What does it matter where they're from though, culturally?
Yeah,
'Cause-
doesn't matter. It could be
okay.
a shot of olive oil. It could be omelette with bacon and sausage on top. It could be vegetarian. It could be meat eating. It's workable either way. But if
But
it's
the olive oil is the key ingredient.
the fat is the key
Fat.
ingredient.
Okay, because you get fat from the bacon and the sausage too.
Right.
Yeah.
But that would be only if you're an oxidizer. If you're an autonomic, you'll make yourself worse. So
Right.
the autonomic waking up too early will have to eat, I don't know, a bowl of fruit would be a good start, or a cereal, I don't know, porridge with apple or porridge with blueberries or something like that.
Yeah, you won't be able to tell by if someone's fat or skinny,
That's a
which
different
food
problem.
type.
That's the endocrine dominance speaking. Yeah,
Do you
that's
see
not
how
related
complex
to
this is?
it's not that complex. You can be lucky and have fat making you calm and happy disposition and making you skinny at the same time. And then you'll
Wouldn't
be
that
in
be
the
nice?
popular thing. But you could be the other way. You could be fat making you happy and balanced, but also making you gain weight. So now you need
Right.
to figure out where you want to be, happy and fat, or moderately happy and moderately fat. The choices are more difficult. So some of us are born with a popular choice, and some of us are born with a difficult balance, but still, it can be managed.
And so if someone doesn't know and they work with you, what is it that you do to help them figure out?
Yeah, we administer a quiz, 120 multiple choice questions. After you've answered those, we'll come back to you with your user's manual. You are an oxidizer and you're a fast oxidizer. That means blah, 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 whatever that means. These are the combinations of foods, supplements, amino acids, minerals that will be benefiting you. You need more of this, less of that. As an example, the fast oxidizer needs a lot more calcium, zinc, iodine, vitamin B5, blah, 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 whatever stories. So I will be able to tell you more of what you need now to be more balanced. Yeah. It's not
When
complicated. We charge $97 for the fun.
That's awesome. But when people go to the doctor, why aren't their doctors doing this?
Doctors go to school to learn how to become great prescription writers because they are really trained to be salesmen for the pharmaceutical industry. The entire thing, the Rockefeller-Carnegie model of medicine, is done on patent medicines, writing prescriptions. So they are training to be fast diagnosticians. As soon as they can diagnose you, they can write you a prescription, and the prescription starts modifying your internal balances. It fixes nothing. It just pushes in a certain way, but does not empower you. It just makes you dependent on the prescription.
Sometimes it just treats the symptoms and not underlying causes.
Always,
Right.
not sometimes. By design.
Yeah.
By design, it treats symptoms, not causes.
Okay, and so the listener who is skeptical because they think medicine is science, and it is to a degree, and they may say your work sounds a little wishy-washy.
You would have
That's
to
the
be
word
kidding
woo-woo.
me. It's observational experiential. We do the same level of experiential observational science as any doctor will do.
So that's what I'm asking is for the person that's listening that's doubtful, where can they learn more
Yeah.
scientifically?
Yeah, you know the boy who was researching the fleas? He
No, I
would
don't know that story.
he would tear off the legs off the fleas and then tell them jump. And the result of his observation was when you remove the legs off the fleas, they go deaf.
Yeah.
Because they failed to respond to their command. That's a silly joke. So let's
Well,
try a
no,
different
but
let's
I
try a
got it.
different one. The
Okay.
fallacy of the double-blind study. Okay, I will do a medical double-blind study and I will test something. Let me just try and test response to magnesium. Depending on the statistical mix of the subjects that you're testing, some people will respond to magnesium in one way and the other ones in the opposite way. Okay, for some body types, magnesium is wonderful. For others, not so much. In one case, it will stabilize them. In another case, it makes them hopelessly depressed. All right. So depending what you get statistically in the body types in your study, you will write a conclusion. And if you get an even mix, you will end up with inconclusive results. That's all.
Right.
So just by premise of ignoring this biological individuality, they are sentencing themselves to pathetic results of their double-blind studies.
Well, you said that so well. I think that's so important. So the takeaway message is looking at research is not going to help you. You got to know your own body, your own genetic makeup, your metabolic markers. You have to have your own individual testing to find what's going to work for you.
Yeah, this is
Did I
the
get
case.
that right?
Yeah, you did. This is the case for biological individuality. If you visit a homeopath or traditional Chinese practitioner or Ayurvedic practitioner or a herbalist or any one of those other than the mainstream statistics-based medical practitioners, you will be treated as a person, as an individual, not as a sheet of lab numbers. So when you treat the person, you end up doing different things, even though the presenting situation is different. To give you an idea, let's just say that you're allergic to glyphosate and wheat, and you start eating a lot of wheat products, and they will produce either high blood pressure or PCOS or migraine or dysmenorrhea, or what else could it do to a person? Give them
GI
depression.
stuff.
All of these symptoms are easily caused by a bad reaction to a food like wheat in this case, right? You'll be treated by 7 specialists, each one of them prescribing something for you. And as these things are hitting you, they are starting to interact with one another and causing side effects. And so you will end up in a chemical soup that's unworkable. I have people come to me and I say, okay, are you on any pharmaceutical? Yes, I am. Give me the list. I had a woman read out to me 15 things, 15 different pills. And I'm saying, isn't that interesting that this one here is driving you toward anxiety and this one is written for you to suppress anxiety? They will cancel each other. Would you just drop those two? Oh, by the way, this one is given to you to lower your cholesterol. Did you know that cholesterol is released in response to these foods, this and this? And so you could drop these foods and not have this reaction and so on.
My mom, before she passed, was on 22 meds.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
A horrible situation. These common illnesses, like something like fibromyalgia, for example, is a label that's used a lot. Pharmaceutical things or pharmaceutical medicines are meant to treat a symptom, one symptom. So fibromyalgia is an illness of about 15 different symptoms. If you start writing scripts for each one of those things, you'll end up with a conflict that's irreconcilable. You can't make it work.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore, we go to the beginning: toxicity, malnutrition, stagnation, and trauma. Those are the 4 legs on which this trouble stands. Chronic, inflammatory, metabolic disease is basically based on what we put into our body that's going to create either under or over functioning in various systems and organs, and we need to untangle it.
Awesome. And are you aware that your media company signed you up to be a speaker at my summit?
No, but I'll be delighted to contribute if you want me to.
Yeah, you're an amazing fit. It's May 30th, and more information will be coming out to you.
Sure.
And I have a
Happy to
list.
do
I
that.
have a list. I have a list of medical categories that trauma can impact, and a lot of what you discussed today, of course, is on there. So I
Yeah.
am thrilled that you're going to be a speaker.
You know that there's a game called Whack-A-Mole. Are you familiar with it? Human health is a lot like that.
Yes.
If you suppress something, it'll cause a pop-up somewhere else. So you suppress that, it'll pop up somewhere else. You suppress that, it'll pop up somewhere else. The only decent way is not to keep whacking these things. The only way to deal with it is to understand and drain the situation of its energy, of its reason to exist. Because most of it are compensations for something.
The favorite thing for me that you said today was that research piece, because as a mental health therapist, I worked for the DoD for a long time, and they would pay for these amazing evidence-based trainings. I never felt comfortable with them. I'm like, if I don't want that done to me, I'm not going to do that to somebody else. Like some of them were very invasive. They led to other problems. I'm like, no. And so what I would do is base it on the individual. What a concept. And they would get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like I would work with their unique needs, because we're not cookies. We can't do cookie cutter therapy.
If only we had something that would tell us what the difference is. Oh, wait, we know it, except we're ignoring it. I don't understand that. I don't understand why this is not accepted in the mainstream, other than laziness, ignorance, and unwillingness to actually deliver.
How about greed?
Okay, unwillingness to deliver a cure because of an economic motivation. All right, sure.
How would insurance companies and prescription drug companies make money?
Okay, so the insurance companies are really the problem. The biggest problem is that, because things get done because they're insured, not because they are needed, and vice versa. Many things that should be done aren't done because they're not insured. Yeah, exactly that. And of course, by them developing the standard of care is administrative prescription, which is even more systemized and even more limiting the individual practitioner to do what's right for the patient, instead of they're doing what's right for the lawyer. And it's hopeless. It's hopeless. Cannot get to a happy result using that system.
Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up here. I don't want to end on hopeless. So say something hopeful.
You need to decide that there is help elsewhere.
Right.
I am very clear on the fact that I can help restore vitality to you and to the planet, as stated, by practicing methods other than what the mainstream insured pharmaceutical method is when you're dealing with anything that relates to a traumatic or mental health issue, emotional health issue. Any one of these things are solvable, and they require the four legs. Those are just coarse categories, but you need to deal with your toxicity. You have to get the stuff that's breaking you from within out of you. You need to deal with the nutritional malnutrition. You need to get the stuff you're missing in. And you need to undo stagnation. Stagnation is not allowing proper circulation of things, because we're dynamic creatures. So interacting within and out with the environment is required. And lastly, trauma is something that's not static. It can be unwound. It can be processed and released, much like you can release an air out of a balloon. It will lose its tension once you let it out, but it needs to be let out in a structured manner. Otherwise, you end up where we are, which is overuse of street drugs or even legal things to not feel the way we feel. I think this fentanyl crisis that we're experiencing is people not wanting to feel what they're feeling. They are trying to find an out. They want to take a holiday from their horrible situation. So I want to tell you, there is another way. It's not chemical. It's a method by which you put yourself back together. It exists. It's just not in the mainstream.
So there is hope, but you got to be willing to invest in yourself, invest the effort, the energy, the money to working with providers that will get you in a healthier way. Yeah. Mentally, physically, emotionally, relationally, spiritually, energetically.
All of it.
Yes. All right. I would love to end on that note. I do have all of your links, but if you want to tell the audience your website.
Yeah, the website's called Life Enthusiast, and it's life-enthusiast.com. And we have a channel on Telegram where we are not censored, and we have a censored channel on YouTube where we can't say much.
Well, thank you for that. It's important to know. All right, I appreciate you being here today, and we look forward for you to be on our summit. Because you're on the summit, your podcast episode will be released sooner to help promote the summit in May. So thank you, doctor. I know you're not a doctor, but you have a lot of expertise
You know
in
what's
promoting it.
interesting? You know what's interesting? The word doctor is actually a translation of a Latin expression for. So
I was right then.
you were right.
People call me doctor all the time too, and I'm not a doctor, technically, but I am a teacher.
I'll
Right,
just
well,
have to say one more thing.
Okay,
If
go ahead.
I were licensed by a specific body, I would be forced to tell you the message that the licensing body is asking me to tell. If you want to hear more of that, please go see the licensed medical practitioner. I am a health and nutrition teacher and educator. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you a woman on a mission to uplift the lives of other women through your business? Do you have massive value to bring, and yet you still have difficulty gaining new clients? If so, join me, Katerina Rando, at my next free virtual workshop. I show women how to sell authentically to achieve sales bliss. Visit katerinarando.com/links to sign up for my next free workshop and gain many additional business building resources. Bing, bing, bing.